r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. What crazy ass thing did your racist uncle just say at Thanksgiving dinner? My grandpa said he has no idea why anyone would drink Modelo cause you have no idea what those Mexicans are putting in it. There was widespread panic a few decades ago about Corona being made from or infused with piss from the Mexican brewery workers. Corona was rapidly becoming the #1 best-selling imported beer in America, and its competitors started making up the PP rumors to slow it down. The lie was surprisingly widespread and, less surprisingly, unquestionably believed by American consumers and did significantly impact Corona's sales. While watching football, they got them big mouthpieces and like pacifiers. Probably to cover up them Negro lips. Damn old school racist. A few Thanksgivings ago, grandma was really upset because of gay marriage. And I quote, "Now they will be allowed to breed. Just let that sink in, my friends." That kid in 3rd grade was right. Babies do come out of the butt. Edit. You've got to be ducking kidding me. Not complaining. But my highest rated comment is about a pre-sex ed playground theory and it's been gilded. Thanks. I guess. My grandma said they call it Black Friday because you're poor after it. My father-in-law called Asian people chinkies. My dad calls gays fruity, accompanied by the obligatory limp wrist gesture. He has also repeatedly informed me that I am making my boys gay by letting my male children have long hair. Joke is on him. My sister came out as MTF trans. WHO is making te gays now. Dad? Turn off that N-word music. There was a long pause while all the family awkwardly took in his racism. The only response was one cousin noting, "Dut. But it's Kid Rock." Was it the coach of the Calgary Flames? Mexican druggies love lizards. Thanks, grandma. To be fair, every person I've met who has a pet lizard has also done drugs. Edit. The internet is taking my anecdotal experiences way too serious. Sleep off your ducking turkey guts, fam. My dad keeps calling Air Emirates Al Qaeda Air. Not Air Qaeda? I'm disappointed in your dad. Yo. I straight up had a normal Thanksgiving. It was wild. My uncle asked me, 21M, if I liked to suck dong because I got my ears pierced. Why? Do you got a gay incest fetish? Bro. What a perfect thread. My uncle went off today. He's very conspiracy theory heavy. And this time apparently the sand are going to start coming from over the hills and he will be ready to shoot. When I asked where they were going to be coming from, he instantly responded with a dead serious Minnesota. Minnesotan here. Can confirm that this is definitely the truth. How safe is your neighborhood? I'm not sure. Have you met your neighbors? Are they white? Had a neighbor move in next to me. Fortunately, she is long gone now. But within the first few sentences of just meeting her, she asked me if I could point out where the blacks live. We have a pretty mixed area here. Everybody is everywhere. And right at that moment, I could honestly not differentiate one house from another. They kinda look the same. It's not like they have a plaque to identify which houses have the blacks. Was told how black players in the NFL celebrate like chimpanzees, but when the white players score they just throw the ball and celebrate respectfully. My uncle told me he was surprised my Gook car made it 350 miles yesterday without breaking down. He drives a Dodge. I drive a Honda. He has had countless dealership visits over the last decade, and guess who drives him back and forth when they're in the shop? Yes, Asian cars. Notoriously poor quality. There is now a Muslim woman in a headscarf sitting near at work and she feels all tense and anxious now cause who knows what's going in her head? Like the hijab covers up the telepathy port or something? He walked into the room while my cousins and I were playing a game and told me that I didn't post enough political stuff on my Facebook for him to heckle me about. He was like, too much sunshine and rainbows on there and not enough bullshit. How ducking dare you? My mill, I can't stand woman sports commentators. I don't like women broadcasters at all. Their voices grind on me. I do like Rachel Maddow. But she's a lesbian. So she's classified as a man. Your mill sounds like no one has grinded on her for a very long time. My grandma said to my cousin and her girlfriend, you know, that's my son's favorite type of porn. NGL. That took me a minute but made me laugh. There's just so many layers to that statement and all of them are wrong. My grandma, she's 93, was being asked if she has any concerns about her doctor and she said yeah. He's black, from India. Then she asked me who I was for the next 20 minutes. I mean, people from India? No problem. A black person? Totally fine. But a black person from India? No way, Jose. He told a story about when he found a black cat, took it home, and named it the N-word. Hard R included. That was my grandma's dog's name growing up. Glad I'm not the only one. It was my wife's aunt. She said in reference to Monday Night Football, Booger McFarland makes us want to be racist. My grandfather told us Kias are made from the beer cans he left in Korea. This comment reads like a short poem. Oh. Thanks for the bling. Said he and my aunt were looking for a place to get a foot massage for a decent price. Finally found one down the street where the chunky girls work. My eyes widened for two reasons. Cousin, who was high, said that he doesn't believe in black chickens because he ain't never seen no black chicken meat at the store. NM Wikipedia.org link. Show him this and blow his mind. My wife is from Germany, and she has a grandpa who has dementia who will, on occasion, blurt out Heil Hitler when he gets too excited at family functions. Funny thing is, he wasn't ever even willingly a Nazi. He got conscripted in 1945 at age 14 and surrendered to the Americans the first time he saw them because he was hungry. He's even married to a Jewish woman. Sounds like he has some serious PTSD. It doesn't seem like he means anything ill of it. I'm in Disney with my 82-year-old Italian grandma, in a Mexican restaurant in Epcot having dinner. I notice she's got this sweet little smile on her face and she looks right at me and innocently says, "It's so funny seeing a Mexican guy in a nice suit," as the host of the restaurant is walking around in the distance. My grandpa told me the Democrats are going to take over and put us all in camps. Meanwhile he'll be hiding in the woods eating cans of beans. Call him in a panic saying that the Dems are taking you. Let's see how long he stays in the woods. My mom is an Asian immigrant and thought the N-word was the PC way of saying someone was black. Ironic, right? Yeah, so anyways she just casually said it in the middle of dinner in front of the whole family. Edit. My mom's not racist and is actually very sweet, she just doesn't know much of American culture. I remember my friend who was tutoring this high schooler from China for English told me this kid did the same thing when writing a paper about the Martin Luther King Jr. It was an awkward conversation about outdated words. They like to say run while watching football. This is why I would never introduce my black girlfriend to that side of the family. What about your Asian girlfriend? I have a good friend who immigrated from the Middle East. I figured I would invite him over to meet my extended family on Thanksgiving. As soon as my uncle saw him he had to blurt out, "Oh no, there's a refined terrorist here." My uncle is a very literal guy. Let's just say my friend has no intention of coming back over for Thanksgiving. I'm not Middle Eastern, but I am a minority. And I believe the best response to a racist joke or insult is to play along but roast them in the process. I'm Mexican. So when I was called a maid, I only quipped, "You want me to clean your house? Your welfare checks won't cut it." Not the worst. But my grandmother went on about how all women like sandwiches and a lot of men don't. That's the weirdest generalization to make. Who the hell doesn't like sandwiches? We were playing categories and the category was things that are black and the letter was N. Top 10 hardest levels in video games. My uncle told us a story about how he went to a Japanese restaurant and when asked how the food was he said delicious. Is your uncle 13 years old? That he's smarter than a black surgeon. He's 40 years old, lives with our grandma, works a dead-end job and is probably illiterate. White supremacists are quite often losers who have no accomplishments of their own, but are desperate to feel like they're better than everyone else. So they decide to have pride in their skin color. Where do all these racist uncles come from? Is this really a common thing? It's the stereotype to assume it's an uncle. But usually in any family of like 12 or more, there's just statistically gonna be one super racist person. And I guess if you assume that that person is less likely to get married and have kids because they're insane, then they're more likely to be an uncle than a dad. In my experience. Though. It was never an uncle. Always a grandma. My grandma is dead. But my favorite racist thing she ever came out with was in 2008. When I decided to be a smartass and ask her how excited she was that Obama was going to be president. This one is easy. He's black and a Democrat. I've got 2 reasons to not like him. Just started dropping the N-word. No warning. But once it was dropped, he told a story of how him and his family chased a bunch of N-words through their fields in their truck BC they were stealing something. Cannot say enough. Zero segue. I learned to spell segue today. Thanks lady. My grandpa said that the burnt Yorkshire pudding was blacker than the African monkey Nias right in front of my very black African stepbrother. I want to die. Bro. That wasn't an accident. My father-in-law was teaching my 6-year-old how to crack nuts. Everything was going smooth until he was telling her which nuts were what. Apparently he thinks Brazil nuts are still referred to as NXGXXRTOs in 2019. The a-hole proceeded to argue with me when I jumped in. Well, they look the same as a black person's big toe. Commented how those camps could never have killed 6 million Jews. In fairness, he's not wrong. Camps didn't kill 6 million Jews. That was just one of the many ways. Including starvation in ghettos, overworking in camps, execution 1 death camps, and shot in the forests and fields of Poland via the Einsatzgruppen. Grandma threatened to shit in the turkey if we didn't let her watch Jeopardy, and my aunt decided to announce she got chlamydia as we began to eat. My grandfather grew up in South Carolina, saw me setting the table and said we should have a black man doing this. It wasn't my uncle but his Guatemalan stepdaughter said I have a huge fetish for babies while holding my newborn cousin. If she is native to Guatemala and is learning the English language, maybe she didn't mean it like that. My stepmom's father said something like liberals deserve to be dragged into the streets and shot. This was in front of my 6-year-old baby brother. Fortunately my dad shut that shit down fast. What did your father say to shut him down? Not me but friend's dad. Niggas devalue homes. You don't want them in your neighborhoods. Thanksgiving, the 28th of November 2019, 4:50 PM. OMG, when my parents bought the house they live in now, the real estate agent was careful to warn them that there was a hushed tones black man living next door. My dad said he was okay with that. But if it were any racists around, please point those out. The opposite of what you're asking, but this crazy auntie currently lives in the US and celebrates Thanksgiving. My family hails from Vietnam and they've always been involved in politics. My auntie, who's a nationalist, has always fought for Vietnam's independence. She was tortured by the French and became a Viet Minh when the Americans didn't live up to their promise. One thing I should state. I'm not trying to sound racist, but this is a fact. Back in the days, the vast majority of Asians were racist against black people. I still find Asia to be very racist. Not just towards black people but amongst themselves too. But back then there were no exceptions. That said, back to the story. This is when Americans got involved in Vietnam and stopped backing up the French fighting Vietnamese nationalists. By that point, the Vietnamese were their enemies. Even though very few hailed allegiance to communist ideals. My auntie was being shot at by American soldiers and was running in the paddy fields trying to dodge their bullets. In the mud. While running from the fire. She lost a flip-flop. A black American soldier hiding in the bushes saw her for who she was. A young woman. Possibly a nationalist, true. But unarmed and running for her life. He stepped in. Went to pick up a flip-flop in the mud while shots were still being fired. He handed it back to her and let her disappear in the forest. If a lot of elderly Asians are still racist, not necessarily out of malevolence but usually out of fear and ignorance, this great auntie is possibly the least racist person I'll ever meet. And the way back 2 years speaks of that soldier. With love and respect. is etched in my memory. Ducking like and subscribe.